All right. Last week, JR gave me a call and said that he'd like to have some time with council to discuss the PUD that we approved, the area we approved for a PUD. And the question came up whether we wanted to do it at a council meeting or do it here at the workshop. And my comment was, let's take some time at the workshop and see what time we can save at the Monday night meeting. So JR, it's yours.
It's easy. Appreciate the time, everybody. What we are trying to do, well, first of all, I brought with me Mike and Lance, developers from Atlanta, that are doing this project with us, and JC Judge, the main general contractor. These guys have experience and knowledge and projects that they've already done that reflect well on what we're doing. That's one of the reasons we're doing business with. So the pictures you've seen before, but I brought them just for consistency so you can see that the type of thing that we're trying to do. This active adult concept is blowing up. And so what we've done collectively is really go out and steal all the best ideas from the best places and try to capture all. You know, what they were doing 10 years ago is different than what they're doing today in regard to active adult. And so trying to stay up with the trends. A couple of the projects you might know about is Crestwind in Gainesville. Huge project. And then also one in Peachtree City. And actually some of these houses are pictures from that area. Johnny's hiding. I tried to turn it down before the meeting started. I had it down to 70.
It's got a bunch of little butt right here.
Yeah. Thank you.
I bet.
So anyway, everybody feels like Jasper is a really good location for an active adult community. It's close to Atlanta, but it's in the mountains. You know, your moniker that's on your water tanks, you know, the first mountain city. The project, Gateway to the Mountains, we feel like this is a great place in it. We're not, and it's not like we're a big canoe or bent tree where you have to drive way out in the country to get to. Super easy access. Everything being brand new, we feel like this is going to be a home run. Of course, we had the property, and we all went through all that with the PUD thing to dial down. And as a developer, the best use of the property was it for apartments. We don't want to build 300 apartments there or more, whatever. I don't think that's the right thing. We didn't want to do that. But we still needed to get some density. And at one point, we were talking up around about 120 units because we had some townhomes included. We've eliminated those. Now everything is single family. And that's what you see on this plat here. And you can even see, if you look, you'll see the outlines of the houses approximately as they go around. So we got rid of even that, but now it's down to 100 to 100. We're showing 103 lots, and we might actually lose 3. These 2 here and this one here for access to the green space. But it'd still be a lot. We just may not even go 103. So
how many lots was it?
It's 103 already.
What did you tell us the first time?
It was 120.
Okay, so we're down to 103?
Yeah. Well, and we did it by we had townhouses over here. And we got rid of those because we feel like this is a better look. It's really going for the look. Even when you see this coming in, when they've designed this, and JC's had a lot of input on this with the way the roads are, with the, what do you call little islands with the dividers in the street?
We call them drum catchers.
Yeah, you know, just things to make it pretty. You know, not just a mass grade and just really trying to have some appeal. And so that as the thing grows up, you know, there's an HOA that's in place to take care of all the maintenance on the lawns and everything, so that as it matures, it just gets better with time as things go along. These are going to provide some really nice alternatives. A lot of these are slab lots, and there's people that need, you know, they don't care about a basement. One of the key focuses of this whole project is affordability. You compare these prices with Soleil or Laurel Canyon or Peachtree City down there at Coulter even. What's our price points?
We started at $279.
$279 and fully built out, including a finished basement and finished loft, was $349.
Yeah, so the basic slab house is a ranch of 1,500 square feet to 2.2, with an option that would go up to 1,750 with a loft, which is a bed and bath. And then on top of that, if somebody on a basement lot that would obviously fully baked could be, you know, 2,700 square feet if you want a lot of space. So there's really 3 you can get in where you want to get in.
And so that's really, and this property lays perfect for it. You know, these interior lots are all the slab lots. These are all around the slopes. You got a creek here, the lake there, creek over here. And so a lot of these lots are where the basements can be. It just lends itself to the, you know, dividing it up that way just seemed like perfectly.
How you plan on doing utilities? Are you gonna do it as a green space type subdivision, or are you gonna keep them within well, I know our local UCC has a place where they like for all utilities to go far distances off the curb and stuff.
We're planning, usually the easement is right in the
Yeah.
first, you know, right off the curb, everything's in the front.
Yeah.
The water meters and clean outs, I think we're doing,
Okay, so would you do sidewalks? So would they
Yeah,
be under the
sidewalks
salt
on
be
each
over
side of the
there,
road.
or would you be outside?
they'll usually be on the outside of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
The space given, it depends on if we allocate like a 2-foot strip from the sidewalk and curb for meters, or just put them immediately behind the
So you
sidewalk.
know, they got the new green space type designs where they have this large green space right in front, and it's hard to be able to get all your utilities.
That's why we probably on this, we'll probably put them behind the sidewalk.
Mhm.
And also it alleviates trip hazards. You know, because if you have, that way you get solid concrete with sidewalk runs, you know, right with the top of the curb. You know, people are walking and talking, you know, even though they're pretty, you can roll an ankle. So there's those considerations also.
I see, the other thing is I mentioned here about like this lot, not actually having a house on, making this the access in a community area, and then open down, there's walking trails all around the lake. We've got about 35 acres or so around the lake that are unbuildable, and so that's green space, and to be maintained, and you know, with walking trails and things like that for people to get them outside, keep, you know,
And what was the total acreage on what we approved?
90 acres roughly, just under.
So
So-
by the code, you have to have 9, only 10% of your, it has to be open spaces that designate green spaces. So you're well within that.
Well, we're gonna be
For
triple
the whole
that.
property.
For the whole thing, yeah, when we're said and done.
Okay, how many outlets is this gonna have? I see the one on the highway there. Is it ever gonna eventually come back around to the other
There's
side?
two off the road.
There's two accesses to the subdivision right off this main
Subdivision,
road.
this has got a cable to come in.
Well, and then this goes down, this will connect, and there's a right in, right out down here already, we installed that.
Just be careful of bottlenecks is all we're asking.
Right, yeah. Just so you know, that's what $200,000 looks like. It was pretty ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned the homeowners association. Are you aware that by the code, we're supposed to have a declaration of covenants and restrictions that governs all that? I see some bond back there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got an attorney that worked with Crestwinds on theirs, and we'll mimic theirs up to a point. They have an all-inclusive cable satellite with their HOA dues. We won't go that far, but we will have all exterior landscape maintenance built into the HOA fee. And there'll be some limitations as well on how many people can move in there based on the guidelines for an over 55 designated community, which is right at 20%.
Are you gonna limit the number for cars?
Excuse me?
You're gonna limit the number of cars? Some subdivisions say you only can have 2 cars, you can't have country cars, you can't have all this other stuff.
We haven't gotten that far into it. We've done several subdivisions where we've done both based on the footprint. This one, yeah, my guess is the demographics, they'll have 2 or 1 car because the average age that we're seeing move into these communities is, you know, 6, depending on, you know, the geography is 68 to 72. So my guess is they'll have 2 or 1 cars or 1 car and a golf cart.
Of course, let's see, the other thing is we are including all the amenities on site for these people. They're not putting any demand on the city. Clubhouse, swimming pool, tennis courts, and pickleball courts, specific for this community here.
Got some 70-year-old pickleballers, is that?
Whatever, they feel like they can do it, I hope so. I got an investor from Florida, he's 72 years old, man, the guy will run, he runs circles around me.
Well, that demographics transition from tennis to pickleball, given that you don't have to cover as much
Ground.
Alpharetta just took out 4 tennis
Yeah.
courts, 3 or 4 tennis courts and installed 6
Yeah, we
or
got
8 full-time pickleball courts in the park.
There's a big push for it here too.
And then,
Well,
They have it at the rec center.
They did.
We'll have two dedicated, and the two
County
tennis
doesn't
courts
have
will also be
tennis
lined with roll-in nets, so there'll be a total of 6 pickleball courts, including the lined tennis courts.
Has anybody talked to y'all about making pickleball courts on the tennis courts? I diverted them towards you.
Not yet, I figure it's coming.
It's a good use. Yeah, it's a good use.
I guess it's like at the rec center, they wait for hours to play.
Now, I have them tell me to take tennis courts and go back to basketball.
Heard about it about 3 months ago.
I had to look it up on YouTube to see what it was. When I first heard about it, I was like,
I didn't know what it was.
Pickle what?
Yeah.
That's a couple years ago.
It's gained a lot of traction. Atlanta's a huge community.
Yeah.
Well, they even got big courts up in Hiawassee over by the lake. They got several, got a whole complex just for pickleball.
Well, people that, this is, the whole, one of the terms is active adult. This is not, retirement, nursing home, even the, of course, we still have plans for assisted living across the street. That's another level of care. That's still something else. We're actually going to tie that in with our walking trails and stuff, because even when a person's in an assisted living, they need to be active. The more active you are, the healthier you are, the better you are. So, part of the idea is to get people out.
Then you mentioned walking trails, you mentioned golf carts. So this entire area will be golf cart friendly. Is that,
We're researching that to see if if we go down that path. There are some complexities when you start looking at a true golf cart community.
We actually have a couple ordinances on it, so you pretty well contact the state of Georgia's minimums. What did we add to it, John? I don't know, a lot, didn't we?
Well, my guess is that we'll probably steer away from advertising as a golf cart community. But there will be a 4,500 square foot clubhouse that will basically have everything this demographic is looking for as far as activity. Have a functional professional kitchen with cameras that you can close circuit TV, cooking classes into the community, and have arts and crafts with
Resale.
we'll have an arts and craft area with a kiln, so they can do arts and crafts.
Outdoor kitchen.
Have an outdoor kitchen, have a full fitness center.
Have about 1,000 square feet of covered space off of the clubhouse.
A designated area for yoga and Pilates.
Do you have any public parking available?
There is some parking in and around the clubhouse, Jason, if you want to.
Yeah.
We have this right here, yes here.
What I'm asking that for is, Arbor Hill is a perfect example. We tried the same, almost the same approach, and one neighbor called the police department about parking on the street, and we go out and have to write a ticket, give a warning. What are you going to do to remedy that?
The HOA covenants basically will not allow the residents or their guests to park on the street, and it will be.
What about Thanksgiving Day when everyone's family shows up to the grandpa's house? You got a plan for that?
I mean, not anybody will raise their hand. What we're seeing is, like in my neighborhood, they frown on parking on the street. But you have to, if you're gonna have a get-together, usually it's put into through the HOA. I'm gonna be having a get-together, there probably will be parking on the street for this time frame.
Okay,
That's how
so,
I've been working
so
that.
three friends can't come over, there's no parking, they park on the street, where would they park?
Well, there's about 15 or 18 spots right
Okay. If that just needs
Got
to be
some
worked,
other-
that needs to be worked out.
We got it.
Navajo Trail, people parking on the road, so people too close. And you may maybe have someone in the garage, you may have 4 parking spaces, maybe if somebody wants to go out on the sidewalk.
We have, I believe we've got it set back far enough that you can have 2 in the garage and 2 full parking on this back side of the sidewalk.
That's just big, this is common sense, it's not trying to be.
My pet peeve is where the cars come and they hang over the sidewalk, so you've got a detour around the cars, into the road, and back on the
Right.
sidewalk. And that's something that we've been very
So
conscious
by
of.
having that density, you'll inevitably have someone parking the street, and someone's gonna call the police department, and hard feelings are up.
Well, that's right. And there will be limitations on, they'll be able to have their grandkids visit, but there'll be limitations on, anybody 18 years or younger, how long they can actually stay.
90 days a year, I believe is what it is.
So not living there, not They can stay for a while, and they're trying to manage it.
Park at the tennis court, or the pickleball.
Or you can take the battle to the pickleball courts.
That's right, part of the money.
But if you had an area set aside where you could have off-street parking, would make something like this very much a success. Where you could actually go write them a ticket if they insist you to set parking on the street, so you can park over there. You gotta offer people a place to just.
I think currently we have about 18 spots, but we're still in the midst of configuring and taking out a few, as JR said, we're taking out 3 lots right now just to add to both the amenities and the walking trails and put in a community garden where, you know, the community will have a lottery to pick like a dozen boxes to plant their garden.
Yeah, lot 9, you'll go.
There'll also be a designated dog park there as well.
Right, so lot 9, we're planning on being able to access straight through to the walking trails, and on either side is where the planting will be, so you may multi-use that lot.
That's a lot.
Okay, we'll put it on 10.
Give a deposit.
I take it.
I don't see any photos or presentations for street lamps. What do you have?
There's street lights, and I got,
That's them color guns, I don't know what you mean.
there's a code on it. And it's factored.
Okay, you're gonna have underground, they're decorative street lamps. Okay, one more question for my water department. What's going to be the proximity of your power and your phone to the water line? John mentioned that just a few minutes ago, the very first thing.
Yeah, the UCC, we have
But we definitely need a plan laid out for that, because inevitably the water line's going to rupture. We got to go out in the middle of the night. We got to break. We got to wait for the locators to come, and we're sitting here with power and water in the same hole. It's a scary thing. Hunter's Ridge is a nightmare because of these things.
We run into that in town all the time, and we try to usually set them in depths. You'll have layers of utilities. And so we do. That's usually how it's.
What we like to have is the water away from your phone, your telephone, and your power, if you could, because it's going to break more often than it causes more damage. We have to dig a bigger hole, and it's hard to get around those things. And there is a plan the county has, which we adopted years ago to work with their plan. If you would work with that, that's the biggest issue, because we're going to dig people's grass, Bermuda grass up. They're going to get all bent out of shape, but it's better than sitting there and letting the water run down the street and wearing out. And actually, you'll lose your sidewalks and your driveways, and when there's water lines ruptured, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, we have to do you guys have the ordinance here that besides the water meter, there's also an immediate maintenance shut-off that's independent of the water meter.
Actually, our shut-off is with the water meter.
We have an additional one in between where the main is and the water meter.
We call that opening the fire hydrant and let it run free.
Well, as far as to be able to maintain and work on the water meter, there's actually, we do a shut-off.
Well, we have a tap on, and at that there's a cutoff,
Yeah.
but usually it's under pavement. By the time you go out and cut that street,
They made us start.
we just need a good plan, if you will, that the water is separate, that we can go locate. You hardly ever go out and have a power line problem in the middle of the night. We cause a power problem, we cause a gas problem.
Right, Jay?
No, I'm talking about underground.
I thought, yeah, underground goes back.
You know why? Because the city's cut in two. So.
That's sparks.
It's a hard thing to watch when you hit it. I've been there with it.
I understand.
But that needs something you present to the building department, and we'll stay on top of that to make sure that the water is at least enough footage away. Please don't layer it and put the water line on top. Oh, God. One ditch just no water.
How far along are you on the whole project as far as planning and anticipating the phase 2, 3, 4?
We're probably, on the site plan itself, where we're beginning to layer in utilities and looking at that, we're probably 60% complete. On architecture, we're probably 60 to 70% complete. And we've locked down our floor plans. It's now just a matter of.
We're talking about phase 1, I'm talking about the whole project though.
Oh, you mean, well, just, right now, what we're talking about is just this piece right here. The
I
rest,
understand, but in my mind, give me, and I'm just conversation, are you talking about 2 years from now, 3 years from now?
if this takes off like people are telling us it is, within a year, we'll be sitting down talking about the next piece.
Yeah, we purchased, or we got an agreement with JR to purchase what we're calling phase 3, which would be another, 85 to 105 units, depending on, we haven't done any topography work yet to see what density we could get on that property yet, but
12 months from now, that conversation has to start, just to be able to get, so you don't lose any.
and candidly, it's all built on the demand that we can create
You'll have to have another entrance.
with the project. So if demand is strong and we feel like we're selling, our expectations right now conservatively is to sell 2.5 to 3 a month, which means we'd be out of this community in 2.5 to 3 years. If we're selling at that or better, we'll start phase 3 probably in 18 months and have phase 2 at the end of its construction cycle and start the site work on phase 3 would be the plan.
You were talking about number of entrances, because like I live in a community, I live in the preserve in Ball Ground, the preserve at Long Swamp Creek. There's 64 houses, and there's only one way in and one way out.
Yeah.
But it's not even busy. Keep in mind, we're only talking about 100 here. And even if there's 100 on the other one, it's not anything like what we're talking about.
One of the biggest complaints I get from Arbor Hills is they, in the morning, trying to get out to go to school.
How many houses is that?
It's probably, what, 60 houses?
Or that.
Arbor Hills.
280 or.
I was gonna say, it's gotta be,
Yeah.
there's 64 in my subdivision, and
It ain't a whole lot of houses. They don't
I'm
be
hoping there's not like.
Arbor Hills?
kids
Yeah.
we got a school bus, and
You
we got a
go door
bunch
to door
of
and
kids.
tell me it's not big.
No, I'm not big, but I mean, compared to what he's talking about, it ain't.
Well, and-
Two voters in there.
But the big difference is,
Swinging leg.
The big difference in a community like this is from a commuting standpoint.
And actually, the place pretty split.
Most of the people that live here are already at retirement age, so their commuting will be sporadic throughout the day, if any.
It'll be constant though.
Yeah, it'll be constant, but
Yeah, that's a major highway right there. There's a lot of traffic.
it'll be 3 to 5 to, at peak
And then
periods,
also
maybe
too,
10.
sometimes it's challenging to get in and get it out.
There's a lot of short top bridge, though.
Yeah,
Kind of like a
So you were saying you're
competitive
60% of the way through the
short
first
top
phase,
bridge.
and you're still able to do exactly what we were requesting a while ago, is go back through the department and say, we're not going to layer these
No, that's
utilities.
not a problem at all. I mean, the LDP is very close as far as for the dirt. And then as far as the placement of that, I mean, we don't have a problem with,
Okay.
you guys designated where you want it.
we got room,
I mean, we're flexible on that.
we got enough space for it,
yeah,
so.
we'll make
The
sure.
the design work, that's 90% done. The architecture is probably 85. We'll have the renderings for the
Well, your
elevation.
telephone and your power play well together better than water and sewer.
Sure.
So if you could put one on the other side and one on the other, water and sewer on one side, I mean, you gotta have water and sewer separated a certain amount,
Right. No matter what.
by law, but,
Well, we could put the
regardless, I
sidewalk,
wouldn't mind having the sewer in the middle of the road. Do you tie a tap on it? But that's the best way to work on it.
well, we could put the sidewalk 2 feet back, like in Atlanta, and run the water in that gap, and the power's on the backside.
Or flip it on the other side. It's just gonna make repairs down the road, and it's a nightmare when they're in the same ditch.
Yeah, we'll make sure they're segregated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if you will, we'll kind of watch over and approve of that.
Sure.
Somebody pay attention.
Sure.
But we're not hard to get along with, we just want
No, I understand.
longevity here.
Just make-
Valid point, and it's gonna help customer service for the people who live.
Well, when we hit Georgia Power, or Atlanta Gas, or telephone, we're ending up in Atlanta trying to defend ourselves. Well,
Still,
they won't let Georgia Power in this. Why can't Georgia Power have an opportunity?
It's not our territory.
It is,
But you're gonna lose the hospital side too. You're gonna lose the hospital side as well.
Not our territory.
The hospital is both joint if you got a large enough service.
all right, now we know historically fall time traffic. One entrance, one exit. Traffic, or you have one hazmat incident like we had in Cherokee County recently, you've got one way out.
No, there's another one.
he's gonna connect over here to the second.
Second, yeah, there's a right in, right out that we put at the south
not
end of
on
the
the
property,
drawing.
it's just not on here. It's actually on the separate phase.
Okay, this is
Remember
the
that?
lower one.
This is what the police always say.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the one at the top of that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And that's where the leachates drain presently.
Correct, right. But you
Now,
gotta move that, right?
we've talked about this in the past, top of the hill, you have Priest Recycling or Recycling,
Yeah, at the corner.
and down the road you have 108.
Right.
And what we ask, obviously, is access roads that run parallel with 515. And you've got the great start for it. And what we'd ask you is play well with your neighbors, kind of turn it so you can head toward, I want to say, what's the name of Priest Drive?
Cornet Lane.
Cornet Lane.
Yeah.
And then also head toward 108 so that you could actually get off here and access top of the hill and down there. And of course, it sounds like you're doing all the work, but you're the first. Maybe as soon as you do that, someone can tie onto your property. I know you're going to have land disputes and all the issues JR can get into in 15 minutes because he's the world's best at it, I promise you. But if you can play well with your neighbors and have access for your neighbors to develop their property, say, well, if you don't sell us your land, we're not going to let you tie in. Don't pull that trick. But that's how these roads got tied in Macon, Georgia, for example, on 75. Way before you get to Macon, you got access roads. These are all put in by different developers tying their properties in to make something special out of their development. If you can line that up, because we have that kind of north of Jasper, around Walmart area, this same principle needs to be carried on.
I think we have it, like, just from the right in, right out that we did at the top of the hill.
You got a great start for it.
Got a great start, and then Tim Snow's already talking to me, we're already having a discussion about buying his
That's
property.
the question I was getting to.
Tim, he says he wants to sell. I
But if
asked
he
him-
don't sell, still tie him in.
Well, there's gonna be a way to do it, because at some point, I asked him if he wanted to be developed at the same time, and he doesn't. He's more interested in retiring and traveling the country like Jim's talking about doing, so, buying his property is probably a good option right now. And that ties us right up to Cornell.
I'm gonna put at least 12,000 on it.
Preston's still up there, is it?
Yeah, on the other
Oh,
side,
yeah.
on the north side, on the north side of the road, yeah,
One part of the plan.
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. But no, I understand that, that's a given.
And from there, you could go all the way to Harmony School in All Red Mill, and it's still possibilities, but if you ever cut it off and
First phase.
deny it, it will stop.
I
I think you're the same guy who kept 15 feet of property so we can tie into the Walmart property.
Craig?
Well, your partner, you and your partner.
There's my,
You gotta allow that access, because you gotta tie the sewer and water and all the easements have gotta continue on,
Yeah.
off your property.
Oh, yeah, yeah, and we're doing that.
It's something we might need to get access before we approve these, to allow the sewer system and water system to go north, because all we're doing now is going south. We'll talk about it.
Oh, that's.
It's something we can do before we ever approve this.
Well, the
'Cause
sewer,
once you approve it, you can forget it.
the sewer's already north of the property.
But the water's not. The water's gotta go north.
Water already comes,
We turn left, you moved the water line for me already once.
yeah, but it comes in here and it goes that way. It
Yeah,
doesn't
it
come
needs
this
to
way,
be,
yeah.
it needs to be able to go north from that side, 'cause we only got one crossing there.
Well, we'll give you see, that's a
Need
different,
an easement from there all the way across your property to your neighbor's property.
well, you play nice with me and I'll help you get it, because that's a different part.
Remember, you're not just dealing with him though.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, we're all here for
Yeah,
that.
I'm talking
right now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you deal with him.
But he is.
You deal with him and he'll figure out what he's going on about this time next year.
It's a different
part.
partner. It's a different property owner, but it's still, he's a partner of mine on several other projects. We can.
I'm just telling you, it'll happen. It'll happen at a dollar store, it'll happen at a convenience store, it don't matter if you don't get access across the property.
Yeah.
And because you actually own the next property if you stop us right there, and that's not fair.
Did we already give it? I may have already granted it. I granted.
I don't think
When you
officially.
brought it, I
We've
granted it.
talked about it, but it's gotta be extended across your property, our easement, before we approve this.
I think I did.
Well, we'll just do it again. It's called, two wrongs don't do something, make a right.
I know Lonnie and.
Yeah.
It's not there, it's not there yet, I
But
promise.
yeah, I think I gave it to Lonnie already.
Yeah.
When you brought it
We'll
over.
find out about that and
Yeah.
make sure it's done.
We'll make
It's
it,
just X's and O's, guys, not Jimmy's and John's, I promise.
not an issue. Gotta have water.
And we gotta have water for our neighbors up the road, so. And actually, what can happen here is, when he gets ready to play hardball, after he gets all this done and built and curb and gutter and put in place, Mr. Snow, I'm sorry, we can't help you. Now, we'll give you 10 cents on the dollar for your property. Not you, anybody ever do that, but these are things you gotta watch.
We're working out a deal with Tim right now, so. Way ahead.
Well, we need to just get across your property with easements signed off on you, that we got it in place. And you do it, since they come to us, now this is usually handled down in the building department room, but now we're talking about it out in the open.
Yeah, that's fine. Not an issue. So, do you have any questions about the lot layout or anything else on this site plan that we're showing?
No, just, like I said, our major concern is the number of cars and the entrance getting in and out.
Okay.
Your houses look awesome. I mean, I think you won't have a problem with them.
Yeah, I think you're really gonna like it.
I'll say one more thing, JR, on this. These are beautiful properties you have here, but sometimes the economy turns bad, right in the middle of your best thought. And these broken roofs and your different gables and whatever is absolutely beautiful. And then when the economy goes bad, you get a shotgun house. Is there any way we can guarantee that these will be there no matter if the economy were to turn bad on us?
I can't change the presidency. You think I got?
I'm just telling you about a shotgun. I'm telling you, I've seen shotgun houses go in, these were promised in the past.
These are concepts. The plans that we'll be presenting are, they're a little bit narrower than this anyway. And so they have to be built the way they're drawn.
Well, can we agree on that when we approve your plan to
Well,
flood
the code actually covers it, you can't make any major changes in the design.
with aesthetics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see them do it.
We will have a
Well, that's where we're
design.
gonna stop it at the building department.
And they're built though to have that loft option upstairs.
Use a
so
great
you
depression
have to
hit about the
maintain
middle
it.
of it though.
You have to
Well, I
maintain
can counsel
it.
that too, if they default, then they lose their zoning, and I mean, there's all sorts of things built into that.
Yeah. Well, and truthfully, the way this thing is playing out, nobody can foresee the future. But the way we had several people say this thing could sell out in 9 months. I mean, before.
It was playing out today on TV, let me tell you. Our future was playing out right there.
I didn't get to watch it, thank God, I never, whatever. But yeah, it's, we think we'll be well through this year.
Well, those will sell, but,
We need hats.
Yeah, and affordable, I like, the fact that being able
I
to.
don't, because we hear lots of,
Even just go down-
300, 500.
Yeah, go down to Laurel Canyon and try to find something.
All right,
100,000 more.
John, lean to your experience on this. How do we move on from here? Get promise of the easement at the next council meeting?
well, they could bring all that to the building department, we get it approved there, but they would need to have that easement, blanket easement across their property, probably 20, 25 feet from your property to the state right of way, for any advancements north and south. And you might want to lay out, obviously, a little curve cut. So you're making a beautiful swing down 515, but you're not doing anything going toward, not going north. Might do a little something to take care of your neighbors, because it's the only way to make your property more valuable as well.
We actually have several iterations of connected to Tim's property and on up to Cornet Lane. And some of them are come across here.
But it affects your sales approach. when you
Well,
cut that.
it just depends on what we end up doing over there.
Okay.
It depends on the product. So
Where's our pump station in relation to that curve?
down
Okay.
here, down in here.
Okay, so we gotta have access to it.
Yeah, and that's already there. You already have easement for that. Because actually it comes off of my property
But
and goes on to.
to answer your question, Jim, I think they present their plans, touch base, and maybe we could have you or Sonny to make a presentation to council as all these requirements have been met. And then we can discuss it again, maybe in a workshop, because they're gonna move forward. And we just wanna make sure I'll tell you, I've been there and everything went great, and all of a sudden, the sewer line stops at this property, and it's 15 feet from the property line, and you have a court case in order to get from there to the next property.
What, isn't Tim part of that?
I'm not trying to protect you, I'm trying to protect whoever.
No, I'm just saying, but isn't that property down there already part of that agreement that was signed, that $750,000 deal that was?
I don't think Tim put any money in it, no.
Really? No. Okay.
But we just need to tie an access road, and you've got one started. It benefits your property as more than it would anybody. To go to 4net North and 108 South, and that would be one heck of an access lane.
It'd make it beautiful. Of course, you have to deal with the hospital on the south side, because they got their piece.
Well, they'll do something one of these days, and they'll have to give us access.
They don't have access to 515 there, do they?
No.
You told me that at one time.
No.
They'll go to 108.
I tried talking to, what's the lady's name, that's the Denise, yeah. Had a couple meetings with her. And I thought they were gonna they even talked about doing some off-site medical, like rehab and that kind of stuff. But it's just too far down the road. They're not ready yet. That's what she said at that time. But that, it's been
Yeah.
2 years ago since I talked to them.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it's ready yet either.
I don't think so.
Now, this property is not graded yet, is it?
No, that's my next question.
Soil
So-
erosion, Jim.
Well, right, and I have the full set of plans ready to go. We're ready to submit for the LDP within a day or two, probably by Monday. And so we want to just make sure that, if we do this, because we could even change a couple things if we needed to, but with the LDP, we need to get started because the idea is we need product on the ground in the spring. And we don't want to wait another 60 days or something while we're going through some process. So what we'd like to request is that we can go ahead and get that LDP submitted, so we can, because it's going to take, we've got to clear trees and stuff.
Introduce me again to your designer
Okay.
and
Well,
investor.
the two guys right there, Mike and Lance, they're from Atlanta. They're really the money behind what's coming in.
Okay,
And JC is the general contractor. He's got
and designer?
a designer. And they really, all of them have a lot of experience.
We've
They
all
built-
done good.
Well, okay, if we can get a design laid in for the utilities
We can do that, and
We
I'll
get-
make sure you get your easement.
and get the easements, and that just stops future wars, I promise.
understand.
You'll have
And you may end up buying the property anyway, but it's just there, but that can't be a bargaining chip for
Before
you,
this
by the
deal, we
way.
looked at some property in Cherokee, and there was an easement access issue, and we walked away from it because it won't deal with it.
So I think we've kind of messed around, we've lost a large commercial property in the city on the other side of the road because they didn't need the sewer, we didn't get the sewer over to them. And it's
Well,
gonna be a car wash, things we wanted,
so you brought up a comment about, the recession, the bottom falling out. You've also seen communities where you guys will all buy into a grand plan. One thing we're doing, the reason why I want the LDP running is because the amenities are gonna come out with the models. So once he cuts the front part, the amenities will begin as well as our models. So we'll be going vertical as the curbs and the lower part are going in. So we're not gonna be selling a dream, we're gonna be delivering a product.
And that
Because that's
money's
in
all
every-
in place already. It's all
And that's
done.
why I'm on him about this LDP, because as soon as that front part's done, I can have stakes put in, everything's stubbed out, and we're going vertical so people are able to see it. Because, if a turn down does come again, well, every month would count.
And you're not
JR,
gonna have any,
to Ray Roberts about that.
you don't have any
Pole
pump
power
stations, or
right now.
all things from gravity feed to our sewer system.
As far as he's doing the high pressure.
I'm sorry, your question was about
You're talking about
gravity?
gravity. Pump
It's
station.
all gravity. We were able to do it.
Pump station is right there at you.
I know, it's right here. Well, we thought because of these lots and the grade initially, we thought we were gonna have to do a low pressure system like Great Sky in Canton, but we don't need to. We were able to get the gravity and it worked great,
That's good.
so it's
Okay.
just that much simpler.
I think from an investment standpoint, one of the contingencies that we do have to close on the property is the approval, not the LDP approval, because, once we get the zoning approval and you guys approve of the concept and, we're familiar with horse trading, so we're more than, we want to, produce something here that we can all be proud of, and this isn't the, one and done type of deal. We have, looked at, phase 3 is that next stepping stone. We do have an option to purchase that property. So if it is successful, we'll move right in to the phase 3 and produce another 85 to 100 homes there with separate amenities that would be shared between the two communities.
And those elevations will be close to the same, or will they drop?
They'll be very similar. We could go a little wider on those based on how this product's received. This product will be about a 32 by 67 footprint with 39 to 40 basements.
So I didn't catch your contingency.
Basically, if it doesn't
The
improve.
contingency is closing on the property and beginning the dirt work, is getting the approval from the council that the concept and everything we need to do to make sure that, the last thing I want to do is buy the project and then turn around and then we're in a position of weakness.
We can't get started.
Yeah,
It's not buildable.
So So I think we've already approved the concept.
Yeah.
It's the zoning.
That's what I'm hearing, that's why they might just want to point out, it's not the true contingency, but obviously, I don't think they want to loan money on a project that's hypothetical.
And we also wanted to make sure everybody got the full buy-in on what we really think we're gonna do at this
Yeah.
103 lots. Not 70 lots or something, you know, at this point, we really need, you know, the number, because of the cost of developing, you know, we don't need 200, but we don't need 50 either.
You will actually leave your property site with your sewer to get to our pump station.
That is correct. We're gonna go have to get into your easement to be able to get it.
Okay.
Better get permission. Circle right here very quickly.
That is, you're correct. That's right.
Okay, so the main thing is get your utilities off your property so that we can tie the neighbors on, whether you own it or whomever,
There
to
you go.
get that done.
That's right.
And we are doing, there will be 100 lots, not 103. 101, 102, and 9 will be, they're off, they'll be amenities.
That's the one zoning one.
Well, actually, the best one is this one right here, then this one of
Well,
I think, backs up to everything.
Get rid of stuff.
All right, I took copies.
Oh, yeah, no, I brought, if anybody wants copies, do you guys want something to,
We do offer a city council discount as well.
there you go.
That's called grass.
Sorry.
put your name on your own
You just
pickleball.
lost your deal, pal.
Our Sonny say you wanted one.
You sure can.
All right, so we're gonna take it to the building department, do our work on it. You guys are gonna be working on the easements. How's that fit your time?
Our plan right now is to close on the property in the middle of October, but it could go to the end of October, depending on how long this takes. But middle of October is what we're shooting for, that week of the 15th.
And our engineering plans for the grading and everything are ready to go now to submit for the LDP, because that could be a 4-week process. So we're trying to double track that if we can. So, you know, if we have a good buy-in from the council on that.
Here's what we need to do. We'll approve the concept in council and leave it up to our building department, our city manager to get everything that we want done and submit it back to us as a informative presentation. We don't need to stop them from just beating them. This group is not approvers of plans. You guys are.
Okay.
So we can expedite your needs on the
Monday
utilities.
night, we'll do a request to council to approve the concept
Okay.
that's been designed and work with the building department to get the details.
Satisfy the specific contingencies. Okay.
As council, I just don't want to, I'm not trying to push back exactly, I guess, but it seems like when we were presented what the theory was, is that we would not be relinquishing control throughout the process. And here we are, one work session later, and it seems like
We're not
relinquishing.
relinquishing the process.
Okay.
We're letting our departments do their work.
Okay.
Because these guys works. Don't work. You and I can show up,
Look at that.
Okay.
but these guys have got to do the work. The administration, we can't do the administrative work.
Okay.
Yeah, what you're doing is setting the parameters that
The
the
final
building
approval still come
department
back
can,
to you.
As long as the building department's bringing that information back to us, you're gonna assure me of that?
If you want it, but I trust the building department.
No. And we have no problem providing it. No, it's in our best interest, so it's not like we're gonna hold something back. We want to, everything, this is an this is a pretty detailed outline of what we
It
want to do. You know, we're talking about like, where do we put the water and the electric? You know, that's a.
I guess I'm just trying to address some of the questions, like we don't want a bunch of shotgun houses. Even though you've presented this, I'm not the only one that's expressed concern that things can evolve. And I want to a less desirable.
Yeah, and please, we're concerned as well. It's not a
Yeah.
small project.
Yeah.
I think, you know, in total, from a sales perspective, it'll be, you know, $32 million plus project.
Yeah.
We'll have, you know, roughly 24 million into it. So what we're looking to do is create, again, a project that will lead us into phase two. Phase three. This would be phase two and then phase three. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why we like, because we're doing a lot of single-family homes in Atlanta, both townhomes and single-family homes, that does, it's very much affected by the economy.
Right.
So if the economy were to turn, it creates a ton of headwind. We like this space because it is, I won't say it's recession-proof, but there are 10,000 people a day in the States turning 55 and older. And that's been happening.
For the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's been happening for the previous 4 years and will go on for another 10 years. And those people, from a financial perspective, are well into their financial security. So they more or less command about 85% of the U.S. wealth today. And what we've seen is they will inherit another, $8 trillion of the silent generation. So their parents.
Let me stop you right there and say, as soon as they move here, guess what they'll want? They'll want to be exempt from school taxes. Well, they hardly have any money.
Yeah, well, we'll get enough property taxes one day.
Did you not like that?
Y'all face that, Johnny, get back focused.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is when they move here, it's all going to help us, and all of a sudden it's exemption. We got to have a tax base that we can count on.
Sure.
And that's why we want these elderly people to move here, and we want them to pay their taxes so we can educate our children. So, as they promised when Bentry and Brick and they moved here years ago.
I can assure you, if they're moving from, the Atlanta metro area to here, from, Florida to here, I mean, your taxes will be
Come
highly
see me tomorrow and I'll give you a ride around Jasper.
Yeah.
But we just want to qualify that today.
Sure.
Because when we start arguing about taxes 10 years from now, we got to have those people to help us pay for that Pickens County school system, whatever school system we have. And it's not an exemption county. We got to have everybody rowing the boat.
Well, it's also, this is a product that price point that we haven't seen. We've been researching all over the area. So you have people that are, teachers and whatever. Their pensions aren't huge and they're not, pockets down to their knees.
Well, that's what they say when they get here, but they just bought a $300,000 home.
Well, but there's a lot of these other areas,
This-
700.
Yeah, this product is about, from what we've seen, comparable, about 350 to 400.
Let me tell you what's happened over the last 25 years. Back in the 90s, they wanted to convert most of that area to mobile home parks. And Mr. Molnax, the commissioner at the time, he had not put curb and gutter into place to require if you built more than 3 units. We would have had mobile home parks all up now 515. We'd still be moving those people out today trying to build these apartments. And we have saved this property for this type of development so that we could have something special and our tax base would be extraordinary instead of ordinary.
Feel like this is it?
I think this is it.
All right. Johnny, let me run this by again, make sure I understand. A motion for the council to approve the design concept with the building department and city manager responsible to see that final designs meet.
I think that would be great. And I think that's something you guys can live with and you can move forward with.
We can do that.
Perfect. Your 10 minutes are up.
And if you can't do business in Jasper, Georgia, you can't do it, guys.
I just want to make sure it gives you your easement.
Well, that's
what I'm leaving with.
Sometimes we have forgotten to get it. And
Do you remember
let's go back
one
and
thing?
beg later.
No, I won't forget that.
Right.
Let me get away with nothing.
Hey, she missed him, you watched it all.
No, I'm gonna call the engineer in the morning. Just make sure follow up JR's easement.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Glad we did that first. Couple of things that I want to mention that happened after I prepared the books. First, it's come to my attention that the ordinance for PUDs states that rural agriculture property can be considered for a planned urban development. In the recent decisions that we've made, and zoning commission have made, we've approved commercial property as a PUD, not putting it through not changing the zoning to a rural agriculture, RA. I have been trying to get hold of Bill about how to correct that without slowing anything down.
Do we even have RA anymore in the city? I know we do in the county.
Yeah, we have some. I talked to Sonny about that today, and he couldn't say where.
Well, we have RA, but we don't allow poultry and cows and chickens unless you're
So
on
we do
double
actually
occupancy.
have the zoning in our city.
It was added to our zoning when we redid our zoning a few years back with the ordinances, but
Okay.
back in the day, people wanted to do away with chickens and cows, and we did away with allowing that, crow and roosters, etc. But RA appeared on our zoning about 15 years ago.
So that makes it a little more simple.
Yeah. And I don't want to slow any of this down. I don't think council wants to either. We're going to hear,
Well, when these properties were annexed, the hospital property was multiple acres of property versus, and all they wanted to do was build a hospital. JR's property, when it first was brought in, they didn't exactly have a plan, except they wanted to put residential in the back and commercial in front, and we annexed it in. Some magical line in the middle was commercial, residential back and commercial in front. Of course, times are changing. Now they want to put the residential right on the road. I don't see a big problem with that, especially with the designs that they're coming up with. But it was very general to get them in the city, yes, we'll work with you mentality. And because these people didn't have to annex, they wanted our sewer, and that's why they came in.
Well, I'm not.
And you make a good point, but not only you talking about putting the residential in the other, what they're doing now, they're putting retail on the bottom and putting residential on top, these new multi-use.
It's totally different.
It's
than
crazy.
I'm not disputing, I'm the one that brought it to Jim's attention because I've been studying the flood ordinance. I'm not disputing why we brought them in or why we want them here, but I don't think that we should be passing zoning laws for perpetuity that really don't exist. And we've done it once and we're considering doing it again. And if we don't follow a simple thing like a zoning ordinance, then somebody's gonna come along and say, well, you didn't follow it for them, why do I have to follow it? And it could, I mean, I think ultimately the ideal solution would, which based on our other ordinances, is gonna take a hell of a long time, pardon me, to change the ordinance, but I think that we have to, ultimately, we should change the ordinance to mirror what our codes say. While I'm on the topic, I've been studying the hospital property, and even though I hope everybody understands it, I thoroughly support that project. Them zoning that entire 68 acres at one time for a PUD, and looking at the plan that has been presented, there's some issues there as well. There are 2 hotels on the property. There's no green space on the property. And both those are clear requirements for the PUD. So somehow that's going to need to be addressed before, at least I think it needs to be addressed, before we would agree to approve that plan.
and that would come at the design, after the design.
Much like we're doing tonight.
Like we're doing tonight.
As long as they understand that, that's a requirement. Now, I don't know what we would decide to do. If you study what the purposes of the PUD are, is that where you want a hotel? I think the way the ordinance is written, that wasn't the way it was designed. I think Avalon is kind of an extreme PUD, if you want to look at it that way. They have a hotel, so it may be something that we would want to decide should be a commercial use for a PUD. It's a pretty delineated code that tells you very specifically what we should be and should be doing it. And without, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but that's probably the way it's going to be perceived. We should have, these properties shouldn't even be presented to our zoning and planning people if they don't meet that certain minimum requirements, or if they have things in their plans that either aren't allowed, or, I mean, it's a lot easier to solve it on the upfront part than it is when it gets to this stage, so just.
Would you have to change the ordinance on?
I would, on the ordinance, I would probably change it to just something that, it doesn't matter what it's zoned.
Not restricted to
You would
residential.
call it mixed
Right.
You can
use.
do whatever you want.
RA only.
If you decide you want a PUD there, you can put a PUD there. And then on the commercial use, you just add a hotel, to the commercial use.
Would that not be the first place to start? I mean, to change that?
I mean, these are exciting projects. The
But
hospital
again,
property, I don't know if
we
you've
could
looked
make
at
it mixed use.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
they're not.
Yeah, make it mixed use and be done with it.
And I mean, it's a pretty,
It's massive.
it's a pretty ambitious plan. And I think if you have concerns about economy, a 68-acre project with 2 hotels and potentially apartments, and the only requirement we have is that they start construction within a year, that seems like that's a project that
Could go down how fast.
could probably, I like the idea that they're splitting theirs up into smaller projects, I'll put it that way.
Which that's normal on those projects. I mean, even with Arbor Hills, they had their zones
Phases.
here, the phases. Most subdivisions do that.
Yeah, but this I don't know if you've looked at this project, but there's 2 hotels, there's 120 something townhomes, there's an assisted living, there is whatever the transitional living is, there's a town square, there's a small on the planet called, it refers it to an amphitheater. I think in the meeting they refer to it as a pavilion, interestingly enough. But, 200 seat.
I figured seasonal never gonna be anymore.
It's a pretty ambitious plan. I mean,
I'm glad it's ambitious, that's good. But the thing is they're not gonna do it all at one time. It'll be done in sections. There's no way they can do it all.
so anyway, that's the point in hand.
And had a tax increase, has
Well,
No.
We need
For
legal
this-
advice.
yeah, for the Gateway PUD, I'll talk to Bill about how we straighten that up without interfering in the progress. And the one we are considering Monday night for the initial permission to put a PUD in there. We've got some.
Part of our problem that Sonny's referring to is the way we've annexed 515. We were in a haste to get it corralled,
Right.
so to speak. And all this property was forest land and farms and whatever else from Antioch Church Road to Polecat Creek. And all of them were told if you annex in, you can come in as, especially north of Philadelphia, you bring it in as farmland to try to get as good a tax break as you can from the county, because it's going to be years for it's developed, but we need to go ahead and get you signed on. The hospital property, of course, came in as most of you can remember the politics that was involved during the day that got it to where it's at now. The city spent a lot of money getting sewer and water to that location because it was planned to be down Harmony School Road. And it was moved to that location, and all the land was bought at that particular time, actually by the city, in order to control where we could build a hospital. And the planner at the time, that being Mr. Jim Smith, kept trying to get Mr. Copeland to lay out his plan development. He didn't know what he wanted to build. He wanted to build a hospital.
Cracker Barrel.
A Cracker Barrel, whatever he could build. It was 1999, 98, so we just tickled to death to get a hospital. And so we've sat here and went through a 8-year recession, and now it's time to come out. And it might take changing the zoning to recognize that it's not all farmland we're annexing. We're dealing with old property that used to be farmland, but now it's...
If we'd identified it sooner, we could have changed it. We could have done it in one step. We could have had the C2 converted to RA and then the RA converted to PUD. So that does simplify it a little bit as far as...
Would it be better to simplify it, just doing away with the RA and go into whatever you want to design and the council approves would be a...
Well, it's an ordinance. It's gonna,
take 2 readings, but we can do that and just let these guys move forward. I don't think we want to hinder their, and actually, it's an interpretation we got now. There might be, we talked to the planning department out of the North Georgia RC, and they might give us, because sometimes they let you do crazy things if you interpret it a certain way. So let's do that and talk to Mr. Pickett. I don't think we need to stop these boys and let them move forward with the other
I
one.
don't wanna stop.
We don't want to stop Gary and Mr. Hughes Monday night, but we recognize this as a.
I think we can have two council meetings before they can get started. And I actually think that we can do it before these 2 guys get breaking ground as well. But the banks sometimes want to move faster.
Second item that's not on the agenda is concerning the Integra property. I have been disappointed that we haven't gotten the application going on purchase of the property, the loan application. Lisa has done work with the bank, expecting the loan to be signed and move on. Hasn't happened. I called Mike Denson yesterday and asked Mike, where are we on it? And Mike's comment was, he's holding it up, he's not happy with it, with the price of the property. And I told Mike, well, we're not just gonna sit here and let this thing die because we're not happy with the price. Right now, the authority has approved the loan application and it's not getting signed. And he said he would do a straw vote of the other members to see where they stand on it. I have not heard anything from Mike. He promised to call me yesterday. I will try to call him again today, tomorrow to see where he is, but right now it's held up because the note's not being signed.
The note prepared?
It's my understanding. Lisa, can you confirm
I
that?
don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
She has worked with the bank. I have to assume it is because Mike said the bank had called him about signing it.
Last I heard, Bill Pickett was supposed to get with somebody there,
He was going to work with Phil Landrum.
That's the last I heard.
Yeah.
I haven't seen an application.
Phil Landrum is the bank.
It's the bank's attorney.
They need to prepare the sales contract, and we need to have a meeting with the development authority and see if they'll vote to sign it and move forward.
Which they have already voted to do.
Well, but we need to get it to them and say, we'll all have a meeting and have a big signing party with it.
Yeah. So that's where we are with it.
I believe that's what I do, but I believe if I were you, Jim, I would get a copy of that closing agreement, or whoever, Phil Landrum, whoever's doing the closing. Sound like maybe they need to finish some work, if that's who's doing the closing. Have you heard of anybody doing the closing? Usually they would call our
That's
office.
the last I heard, the 2 attorneys were supposed to get together, and that's the last I heard.
Mike's refusing to sign the application right now.
Well, we'll come to
So
a planning, zoning board meeting and, excuse me, a development authority meeting and let them vote sign it here. I thought we were there already.
Honestly, I thought we were too, and I was surprised with the conversation yesterday.
We'll call a meeting.
And what was his specific reason?
Price.
I'm a little lost there.
He was not happy with the amount of money it was costing,
Why'd you go to them?
and that was my question.
I mean,
Folks, I'm as confused as you are on this.
yeah, I mean, we're just.
And I was expecting to hear from Mike today and didn't, so, I think John's right, we call a meeting and see what's happening. Okay. Garbage service, had a meeting last night. What kind of discussion do we have?
Well, I thought the meeting went well, and
It was very open, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think you did a great job, Jim.
That was my inner Phil Donahue, John.
I'm ready to turn it over
I
to
think we
you.
go back to the drawing board and start looking at, it's obvious people want to keep it. we go back to the drawing board and see what we can,
You may make some suggestions on rate increases and ways to increase the number of customers.
Y'all gonna be mad, y'all waited for me and I appreciate it, so you'll probably be mad I showed up, but, I think when we're talking about something like this, first of all, we have to know where the money's coming from. And I felt like that we had asked and it had been told that it was a water provided service and that wasn't actually what we now know is to be the case. I think, the lady brought up a good point, or Charlotte brought up a good point on, I don't know exactly where we stood on the, what's the actual cost of the relative cost, I don't know the accounting term for it, where we're paying for cleanup on all these special events and such, that I'm sure that, even though wasn't Sean here, one of the providers was here, I think.
Yes.
And he didn't.
Actually, both.
They were?
Were.
Okay, so.
I didn't know that.
They didn't talk about whether that was included or not, I'm sure that it wasn't.
Well, and this wasn't a place for them to be.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. But point is, getting a kind of an actual, we've thrown this $200,000 cost around, what is the actual cost if you take out the street part of it, that they do their other stuff? And you can't get it down to the penny, but you gotta get it.
And
Come on, everybody,
there's
it's
no
doing great.
way with our accounting system that we can sit here and say that any one of the 5 people were cutting grass for 2 hours in any one week.
Let me ask a question.
But we know they are.
Let me ask a question and see if I can clarify something. In my mind, if not for y'all and maybe the general public. Let me ask you a question. What are we paying the street department? How much they costing us?
I have no idea.
Why not? Well, yeah, I said that this morning, I didn't mean to. Because they're a dead weight as well.
Yeah.
The police department, what's the police department cost? I'll tell you, they're 30% of our budget and they won't go up evidently.
Right.
Fire department's right behind them. Guess what revenue they bring in for us?
So I think
That's
a constitutional.
Let me finish this. No, okay.
that's
Street department's not
constitutional.
constitutional.
What?
Street
I
department.
know, police and fire is though. We're
Well,
obligated by law to.
no, you're not.
To protect our citizens.
Well, so we're also guaranteed to prevent typhoid fever by having garbage strung all over the city.
Well, that's in our.
And that can be done through
that's
numerous.
not a-
Let me finish the statement. But my argument is, at least the garbage department brings in a revenue and offsets its cost. None of the other departments do. The water department offsets and the sewer department offsets, but all the general fund is an dead expense paid for by the taxpayers. Garbage is something that we offer back to our taxpayers with a little extra cost. We could raise whatever we wanted. We could also force everybody in the city of Jasper to have garbage service that has a water meter. We also could charge companies who come in and pick up dumpsters a franchise fee. Right. We can make money off of garbage if that's what you want to do. But we haven't been in debt, we haven't raised taxes, why should we have done that? But that's your cause. I'm just telling you the garbage system is working. It pays for itself and with the tax dollars and the water revenue that we put forth, and the city is as clean as any city you want to find.
I think all that's true. I think funding, what they call it? Garbage pickup with water
Sanitation.
revenue is not, and we're not, in my opinion, we haven't necessarily supported our infrastructure on water as much as we should. So I think using that money for garbage.
That's where it came from. That's where by law it comes from the sanitary system.
Well, you call it waste. But I think that money might be better used supporting our infrastructure. And I don't see anything wrong with looking at things on a.
Why didn't you say that last night with a group, you crowd here? You sat right there and said, thank you for being here.
I did.
I still think we're in.
Well, they're still here. They're looking right there in
I
the
understand
camera.
they're still here.
I
don't
think,
understand your point on
My
that.
point is, the garbage system is a necessary evil that the city has to maintain because
Well, I think
I'm
it is-
telling you, the city of Jasper has to have a garbage service.
I
Atlanta,
think
Georgia
it
has
is-
to have a
I
garbage
don't think
service.
it's been managed.
I think it has.
Well, I think it has. So
Well, that's why you're sitting where you're at. I'm sitting where I'm
If
at.
you're not gonna be simple to me, John, I'll get up and.
Well, you can do whatever you need to do.
okay, guys, let's,
Gentlemen, let me,
listen,
let me tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna spend some time looking at the rates and possibility of increasing them. I'm going to look at ways to increase the number of customers. And I'm gonna look at efficiencies in the department. So a lot of overtime in there. And let me
Yeah, I
do
think we need
that
to,
and we
yeah,
can-
go to the,
and I
just
think-
brainstorm with what we can or can't do. I mean, you know,
And
we
we've got
all
some
have it,
employees
I like it.
that will be
I
a
mean,
big help in doing this.
yeah.
Especially the ones that actually does it, have them come over there.
Yeah.
I think what you do, you get a chance, go ride with these guys.
Oh, they kill
It's
themselves.
a terrible, terrible job that you have to put garbage. And the service that they provide is extraordinary.
I think everybody
Agrees
agrees
with
with
Never
that.
disagreed with that.
Well, it sounds like they have.
In what way?
It's not performing, it's underperforming, it's over budget.
Well, I think what I said was it hadn't been managed.
So the police department's over budget, every department we got's over budget.
All right,
So we have 4,000, approximately 4,000 residents, and we have 600 customers.
People can apply.
all right, if I may, I'm gonna interrupt, and I'm gonna try to calm y'all down. Y'all
I'm calm.
just,
I'm as calm as you can get.
well, let's keep it that way.
I sure appreciate that coming from you.
I think the easiest thing that we can all try to do here is just try to be more efficient. And I think that's our overall goal. You know, we understand, we all have trash, and I certainly don't want to get rid of it. I don't want the service to go away. The dedication we get from our employees that do sanitation, you cannot beat. And I will go a step further and say that with any of our departments, and you've said that numerous times. The dedication they have for this city cannot be beat.
Listen, I was gonna make a comment last night. I'm surprised these guys don't take it off the dinner table at night. The comments that I have had from citizens are tremendous. So I don't think there's anyone that's not proud of
But
the services.
I think the whole goal is to find more efficiencies in the way we operate. And I think there's always room for improvement.
Absolutely, but I'm telling you guys, when we started this, I was the reluctant garbage collector. I didn't want to do this. It was another responsibility that I took on as mayor years ago, and knowing that people were going to call and complain about guys doing their garbage pickup, and it was going to be expensive, but it was better than the alternative and letting private sector do the town and whatever. We had to get in the garbage business. We started this by surplus garbage trucks. We didn't have what I call the new truck, which is 13 years old now. And so we tried to buy one last year, and we put this off to this year, but you got to maintain a garbage service if you want to maintain a city. And we have to maintain so many services in order to be a city. You start cutting these things back, what's going to be next? Street department, let somebody do our roads, turn it over to the county.
So the way this started was we didn't want the service to change, the service to get worse, and we wanted to preserve our employees. So that was the humble and possibly unrealistic expectation. That's what we started with. Now we know that a large percentage of our citizens don't feel like we can do that. We have the same feeling. I think not negotiating contracts for 10, 15 years at a time when people are getting tremendous deals is you have to maximize your income and you have to reduce your expenses. And that's the way you manage any department in any business. And yes, we are a city. We have constitutional rights to provide safety and to protect the law of the state and the country. Requirements. Those are what we're sworn to do. And then if we can find ways to be efficient enough to have money to spend on other things, then we can provide those services.
And one of the things I was thinking.
So you're moving forward, good away with the garbage system, turning it over to the private sector, is what you're saying.
I'm not moving
No,
forward. These guys right here will
No,
decide. We need to keep looking at ways that we can make it better.
No,
We're looking like, instead of spending $150,000 on a new garbage truck, can we get, say, 3 one-ton pickups?
Oh, I didn't hear that from him at all.
Well,
I'm sorry.
and
Well, he's not.
let me tell you, let me tell you my walking papers right now, my walking orders. Study the rates, find ways to increase the number of customers, and explore ways to improve service. Lowering costs.
I mean, do we need a garbage truck, or can we get, like I said, 3 one-tons with a dump, with a cover, so we can do, because most guys ride around with a pickup truck. Really, if they're doing the back door, it's a lot easier to get that small truck in there, do what they do, throw it in there and come
They
back.
make small compactors, so.
Yeah.
And it may be that we could, 2 of those versus the one large. And I think I mentioned that before, when this first all come about.
Our compactor's not a large one, it is,
It's pretty small.
it's pretty small.
Well, and the
A large
trailer
compactor,
does.
We do have a large one,
Yeah.
it takes a surplus, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, the brown.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You do have another letter from, that I emailed, a Facebook post that Mary sent me last night in the package. Someone was not able to attend the meeting and wanted their comment heard. Blight ordinance. I have talked to Bill about that. That was earlier in the week. He had been sick and has not gotten that completed. I had hoped Bill would be here tonight, but I'm assuming he is still sick. I did not get a return call from him today. So that will continue. In your package, you got a letter from Carlo DePizio asking that council consider lowering the liquor license fee. Tara and Lisa did some research on what other communities around the area are charging for the license fees. That is in your package. I think that's something council needs to study. Certainly can't make a decision on that tonight, and I don't think you can make it on Monday night either, but
How many licenses do we issue?
wow, I wish I looked that up.
We got 5.
It says 5 here. It says there are currently only 5 restaurants that have liquor license.
Nobody else is.
That's Carlos's number. I need to check that. I will have that for you Monday night.
Jim, if you will, look, we've got 5 other restaurants. I don't think the Woodbridge has an alcohol license.
They do not this year.
And I don't think Last Catch has.
They,
But what, if we were to lower this, and I thought about this, I talked to Carlos last night, and he brought it to my attention, and I said, bring it to the council, and evidently did today
he had done it earlier.
already.
Yeah,
But that being said, I don't know if I was for it in the past, but we're sitting static. And we've got restaurants that would actually be paying excise tax, we'd be making more money if we actually lowered the rate and had them all.
he actually brought this to Sonny, who brought it to me. I was in Lisa's office at the time, and Johnny, my first comment was sort of a laugh.
Yeah.
I know what the margin is on
Right.
mixed drinks, but
How much water you put in it? But anyway, I think it's something to look at. I don't think I would have in the past been favored for it, but it's not a bad idea.
it's something we need to look at, and I don't know.
We were one of the first on 515 to approve alcohol sales.
So the
And
strategy being to entice more people to get licenses.
yeah, just to be able to
And
sell
get
it.
access.
Not that we're trying to get more alcoholics on the road, but that's what people have always been concerned about. But
They don't drink it on.
Yeah.
it's smarter to drink at home.
Is this something you want to study and discuss Monday night?
I think it'd be a good idea to be on the agenda. What do y'all think?
I agree.
All right.
And what's this, we could do it for a couple of years to see if it entices people. If we want to go back up, we can always
I'd
wait.
like a list of the
Get 'em.
restaurants, because,
I
I
will
mean,
get you the number and.
we know Wendy's and McDonald's ain't gonna do
So
liquor.
we're already lower.
And I don't think we have that many restaurants.
So you want one, you want a list of who has them now?
Yeah, who has them? Who are we looking at the potential to have?
Yeah.
You see, I mean, just to
we're
kind of do
higher
our
than-
homework.
We're higher than.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll pull a list of all our licenses, beer and wine, liquor, and you can guess the beer and wine
Yeah.
folks are your
From the
only
ones that-
potential
Right,
customers.
exactly.
All right. Old business for the agenda. Before we stop at Confederate Old Philadelphia and Philadelphia Lane, we discussed that at the meeting in September. Should be back on the agenda for consideration. If you hadn't had a chance to go out there, you might want to go look at it.
What did they pay for a beer and wine license?
Where we stop?
She didn't.
$750 each, and it'd be $1,500. So you, a total of
You're not gonna get a
$3,000.
break tonight.
$3,000 gets you everything.
3,000 get you beer, wine, and liquor.
Yeah, I think that's what Carlos is wanting to do.
Yeah. We had the first reading of the pet ordinance. We'll have a second reading Monday night. Next item is in your package. It's a request from the Historical Society to participate in some repairs to the old jail. They were wanting to replace 3 windows at a cost of $1,200 a piece. That includes the labor to install and also wanting to do some work on the back steps. And also they've asked that we, city crews, look at cutting down a walnut tree on the property and some additional trees in the back that have dead limbs that need to be removed.
Is that county property?
It is county property. My understanding is the agreement is that the county maintain the building and city maintain the grounds. True?
No. We just,
I know we have been
we've always just
maintaining
helped when we could. There was no obligation.
Okay.
And goes all the way back to Mimi Joe Butler in those days, and it's always belonged to the county, and it's always been a point of contention, but it's still on Main Street, and any way we can make it look better, we'd always be willing to help. And the guys on Saturday would stop and mow the grass for them, whatever if they needed to.
They do maintain the grass. We have a councilman who maintains the shrubs.
Have we talked to Rob? I mean, rather than just going in there and
Well,
put the
it-
windows in his building, I mean, I
No,
don't want to make it
we're not
another
doing it.
contingency.
No, we're not doing the windows.
This
This is us supporting the Historical
the
Society.
Okay.
The Historical
Somebody was
Society.
asking.
With some amount of money. I'm not saying we pay for half of it, I'm not asking we pay for a third of it.
The total is 3,600.
You know, 3,600 plus 525 for the back repair.
Now, and I wasn't opposed to looking at it, but I'm just saying, I don't want to agree to do something that's not even our building to maintain without some kind of.
The Historical
I'd
Society.
recommend we look at that for next year's budget too, Jim, instead of dubbing us in this year. Because I think what I'm looking at, we might be a little tighter than we realize, and 3,600, just not even budgeted.
I'm not suggesting we do 3,600
Well,
by any stretch.
What do we do, keep it to them next year, put it on our
They'd
budget?
be thrilled to death with that, that's not a problem, and
Maybe
I think,
It's out there that way, we could sit a couple more
and I
months.
think if you're considering, what are you considering? What would you like me to budget for this? We're talking about $4,125, they're planning on,
And we would see this strictly as a donation to the Historical Society, correct?
this is support the Historical Society, exactly.
And they just might spend it on the jail, and it'd be their choice.
Well, no, I think we would make it contingent upon doing the windows.
Okay.
And if you don't have any problem with it, I'm gonna get some folks in there to look at cutting down that tree, before it falls and the middle of the
And we do
street.
have the local artists, or woodworking gentlemen that will make the bowls for them to sell, which is a wonderful opportunity.
Walnut poles.
Oh, wow.
The what?
A gentleman that's woodworking, he's willing to make pieces for them
Oh,
and give them so they can sell them to make money.
Them wood bowls are.
They're not gonna let me
big
strike the
grade.
walnut tree somewhere and,
so that's gonna be old business on the agenda tomorrow night, or Monday night?
that's new business, I believe.
I thought we talked about it last month.
We talked about it once, maybe a month before.
Mhm.
Yeah, because Bill was.
It'll be on the agenda somewhere. How's that for an answer? All right. Again, in your package, you got a letter from Ben Turnipseed. Letter he sent to EPA requesting permit water withdrawal increase from the 1 million gallons per day to 1.33. This is something that's been denied earlier, and with the success of our leak detection work that was done this last summer, we've asked that it be reconsidered. Get real good feeling about this being approved, which is great. That's just for information, no action.
Could you pronounce that gentleman's name?
No. Thank you for not asking me
I
to.
was just looking at that thing. I
I was
wonder
trying
how
to,
you
I was
say
trying to
it.
pronounce it in my head.
Yeah,
Too many vowels for me.
way too much.
Next item in your book, a quote from World Fiber Technologies for the decorative poles we've been wanting to use on the state projects, new light poles at 53 in Sammy McGee and Main Street in 53. The additional cost will be $52,244.33. I was shocked at that. I don't know what we paid.
Two or
Nothing.
four?
Paid zero for that.
Yeah.
The one at Walgreens?
Discussed it with Lisa. I think there's a comfort level of using splosh dollars for this.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it matches the decorative lights that we've put all over town. I think it's,
Consistency is key.
Well, I'll just tell you, just from our side of the business, we were doing decorated lighting, it's just stupid how high and stuff.
Oh, it is.
It's just crazy.
and
And it ain't us that does it, it's where we could buy it, because they make so few.
Yeah, you could put just a silver out there and they will do it for you. That's the extra cost for it.
No, not fiberglass. I'm not sure if it's aluminum or what.
It's aluminum.
Steel string pole.
Yeah, it's strong steel.
The sad thing about this is, there's 22-week lead time on it.
Yeah, they don't keep them laying around, they literally make them for the projects.
What, do they make them by hand?
Huh? They do them as
22
they sell them,
weeks.
yeah.
But that's two sets, right?
Yes.
Main Street in?
Yes.
Main Street and then up at Sammy McGee is the other side. Is this what we have at
I'm
Walgreens?
gonna say this, and I think statute of limitations are up. They were gonna charge us the last time, and we didn't have spots. And, we never got a bill. Statute is up. So, anyway, maybe they'll forget us, maybe they'll forget us this time. If I hadn't said that, maybe they'll
That's
forget
what
us
they
this time.
had, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's included in it.
What, are these the ones that match the ones that we already have?
On Main Street,
Yes.
on,
Walgreens.
yeah.
Well, they have
I
done,
sent them photographs of them. World Technologies has the photograph that's supposed to be
But
made.
that's worth it for the beautification of the town.
Oh,
And it may be a silly question, but will it include the signage on it also, like we have
That-
here?
That's something they'll do.
Because, you know,
Yeah,
one
that-
department
that's on their
always moves
project.
and- Okay,
That's on their project.
okay.
If this is the additional cost, I hate to know what the original cost was. But
How would these be paid for in
splosh,
splosh money?
and I'll have that
Oh,
on.
wait,
the
speaking,
agenda.
you got anything on your SPOS, Tom? Did you mention SPOS, did you move forward with any more paving this year?
We've got 10 miles
Getting
left,
late?
and my suggestion is we hold off, try to do that 10 miles in one big project next year.
Should over $1 million probably, except for the last 52,000.
Yeah,
Have what? What'd you say?
Over $1 million, less 52,000.
and we can spend that on sidewalks. And in a moment, we'll talk about the MIG program, where we'll be able to spend it on sidewalks too. Next item you've got is a request from Del Morrissey to meet with council concerning Reinhardt fundraiser for 2019. He's wanting to get it on the calendar. Honestly, I don't know what the date is, but I assume it's,
St. Patty's Day.
yeah, St. Patrick's Day, the same thing they have.
So they probably do it that Saturday, I guess.
I think it's just 1 year they did that one.
Yeah.
This would be the second year.
Yeah.
So that'll be on your agenda. And Dale plans on being here. Next item is, this is on the 2018 budget, but wanted to bring council for approval, a purchase of a police vehicle and lights.
Are we not doing that till next year?
No, the police vehicle is on the budget this year.
Okay.
I think, are you thinking of the fire vehicle?
The pickup truck you were talking about, he was gonna
Yeah,
order, I
that's
thought he
a-
was ordering it this year.
This year. That's what I meant to say
This
if
is
I did.
something else.
No, this is the one that's on the budget for this
Oh, I thought
year.
you said next year, sorry.
No.
Sorry.
All right. That was confusing.
Well,
I didn't mean for it to be.
we always put the police car at this time of year to see how the budget's doing.
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's, our budget's able to take this easily.
Okay.
But it is a F-250 Pursuit pickup truck.
It says
It's a 150.
150, I'm sorry. It is a 150.
6-cylinder?
Oh,
Yeah.
only because we couldn't find the 4. That will be on the agenda. Yes.
Is this a big quote? I mean, can I go ahead and submit this to GMA? This-
That's good until November 15th.
So, okay.
Do you want that to be an agenda item? It is on the budget.
Not necessary. If you decide you want to do it, just inform us now. We usually inform them in regular council meetings. We'd always ask the question, is it in the budget?
Is it in the budget?
In this,
And I get to say that now. Is it in the budget?
Right.
I will put it on the agenda as a, for information.
Now I want to ask who the budget standard.
There you go.
All right. All right, next item. Bill brought this to me, and it's not something that needs action right now, but he has been in correspondence with Ann Dobson with the Housing Authority concerning an unrecorded city sewer easement on Burton Road. It's a request from Ann for the city to create formal easement, maintain the line, and allow them to tie into the lines.
She's going to do an addition.
Sounds to me like that. I have heard nothing about an addition, but
She mentioned to me sometime back, it's going to be up there, actually tying into Mary Street. They have property all the way up to Mary. I thought that might be what that is. I'm not.
so we're
familiar with
clearing
what she
those
wants.
trees out?
Pardon?
Is that what you're talking about, where they're cleaning the trees
Oh,
out?
clean-
Are they marking,
Is that
yeah,
where-
I wondered
And-
what
and it's
they're marking all
marked.
those,
They're
they marked
marking
them, yeah.
So they own that too.
Mhm.
But again, I haven't heard anything about it. People ask me, I say, I don't know.
I just
North part of
noticed-
their-
Tradition.
On the north end?
Closer to North Main.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I noticed
By
that
the
the
old city hall.
tied up the tree smoke
Yes.
the other day when I come by there, and I wondered who done that.
I don't see us needing to discuss this right now, but I would stay on ticket to make sure Ann's getting what she needs. Stormwater ordinances. I had mentioned before that that's something that's gonna come in the future. Something the city needs to look at, certainly not now, but I had an opportunity to send Lonnie to a class concerning that, and he successfully completed MSA compliance and enforcement certification. And one of the things we found out is that we'll be mandated to do that when our population hits 10,000. We're not there yet, thank goodness. We're not gonna be there on this next census, or probably the one after. But we need to be looking at this, and Lonnie completed the training. We're in a situation where we can start.
Did he get a badge?
He does carry, I don't know if he has a badge, but Barney does have.
A bullet in his pocket.
Yeah.
Certification.
Living up to his name, Lonnie Motors.
Gets us down to budget update. Lisa, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Come join us, you want to?
Not really.
Dangerous up
I
there.
don't have really anything to say until the budget committee meets, but we're real close, and I want to meet with you one more time before the budget committee gets together next week, but, that's where we are. We're close.
Lisa and I
It's not,
moved.
it's, right now, it's not increased a whole lot, it's pretty close to maybe a little more than this year, but I'll go over all that with you when I.
And just to share, I had distributed the budget requests for equipment, and Lisa's pretty much fit everything in there.
Yeah, I got a few
requested.
problems with water fund now, so we'll get together. There's 2 trucks that I had to add this morning, so
Yeah.
we'll get together again.
Yeah.
I'll have it ready for the committee meeting. And we'll
The
make it
finance
fine.
committee meeting will be.
What kind of numbers you got, totals, top of your head, for the general and water?
It's close to maybe 100 or 2 over what last year, this
Good.
this
So
year.
we're looking around 12.5 million total?
Yeah, well, it's a little more than that, but not a whole lot more. I'm trying to be, as conservative as I can, and I don't know, and try to fit everything in.
Try to get all over the weekend.
I will say that Lisa does a very conservative revenue estimate. I think that's fair enough. And even with that conservative revenue estimate, put everything in that we requested.
That's amazing.
We also looked at
A few things to finance.
a capital plan going out 2 years, and it's interesting what people are looking for. And I think people enjoy doing a little look forward. I think it'll help us in the future.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed that meeting.
Well, you've got a copy of it in your email.
Okay.
But another evening meeting on the 3rd, which is next Wednesday, at, I'm assuming 6 o'clock for Finance Committee.
Revenue should increase with meter sales, building permits. Leachate, I understand, is gonna be cut back.
Not
Not
next
next
year.
But in the future, which would be,
We've
unless we
got another
expand the
year.
wastewater plant, which is still gonna be difficult.
David's saying that moving it from Polecat Creek over to Long Swamp is gonna help that some. Expansion of the plant will help. But, you know, until we get closer to it, I don't think we can feel good about leachate staying where it is.
Well, they got us through the recession, so it's time to move on again.
Well, and we're not giving up on it. We're gonna try to keep it. Next item, dog park. You've got a quote in your package for some additional fence that you may want to consider. There was comments made about fears that as you're putting another dog into one of the two pens, a dog that's already in there could get out. Maybe there's a need for a fence to connect the two parts together. Sounds real simple, but if you remember the grade of the property over there, you've got to go up and back. So the cost of that, if we decided to do it, would be $1,974.63.
And what's this gonna accomplish again? To keep a dog from getting out?
As you're putting a dog into the pen, the fear is that one that's already in there could jump out, and it gives you that second fenced area, containment area.
A turnstile.
There you go. It's a lot better than electric shock.
And I believe
Only do it once.
I think I already shared my opinion was, I think if we test what we have and see where we stand, you know, the dog.
Well, the other thing we can do too is to connect them, is where the gate is. You can just put another gate, like a double gate. Bring your dog in, shut this gate, then open this gate and go. That might be a cheaper option than connecting them. But it's just, you know, all they want to do is try to keep the dogs from.
I think where we're at, I mean, we've got a
Oh, I
solid
think
foundation.
so.
I think
We
let's,
never worried about a kid getting out.
let's stick with
No, we don't care about kids.
if you don't
Dogs
mind,
don't care about
do you have an update on signage or equipment?
Signage is ordered, don't know when it's gonna be here. Equipment, Tara's talking around to some folks, seeing what the possibilities are of a group donating the equipment.
Okay. I've had a local vet's office step forward and say, we would love to advertise on that fence. I don't know how one would go about bringing that. I just told them to contact you. I don't know how that would work.
That'll just be one more call. And I,
Set up a FIFA profile so you can do it consistently.
Tell him to buy a bench, we'll put his name on there, you know.
Who said it was a he?
am I hearing that you do or don't want this considered on the agenda, Monday night? You wanna hold?
Still a little more research and see if we can figure out maybe a different option. Like I said, we don't have to connect them, we can create a little,
Okay,
see what that would run.
that sounds like a hold.
Sounds like a whole thing too.
The MIG program. Last item in your package is letter from Russell McMurray, Commissioner of DOT, saying the City of Jasper is going to get $67,825.10 in LMIG money with 30% match from the city. John had asked earlier about doing some, whether we were going to try to do some more wash paving. I would suggest we hold off, try to do the final 10 miles in a big project next year. But go ahead and plan on using this big money and 30% match on some sidewalks.
Well, that's next year anyway, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah, yeah,
So this is a guaranteed match if we, grant if we match it?
yes. Not match, but 30%.
We spend a lot more than 30%.
Why did it go down? Well, we got 88 for this year.
Don't know. Don't have an answer to that.
I was shocked when I saw that.
You might give them a call, because sometimes they'll rethink it.
And is this from,
And we can use that to pay for our
this
street
is,
lamp.
we've not submitted what we're gonna do yet on this, have we?
So you're talking about sidewalks, do you have anything in mind specifically? An area,
I know what I want to avoid right now.
53?
Doing any, yeah,
We all want to avoid 53 at this point.
I want to avoid doing anything around the area that's going to be part of the quote, big project, if it ever comes through, because it does include 5-foot sidewalks throughout. So not only would it be a waste of money to go in there and do the sidewalks, and then them tear them up, they're going to do them anyway. So yeah, I think we could look at repairing sidewalks from the housing authority to the light at
Build
53, maybe look at both sides. We could look at areas on the north and south Main Street. And I'm not sitting here knowing how much sidewalks we're gonna be able to do with approximately $100,000, $90,000. But that would be my suggestion.
How about some of our older sidewalks, like there's on the south part of South Main where they need some repair and stuff, and do work on those.
Yeah.
Some old trees are unforgivable. Can't stop them roots.
Now, the money, does it have to be allocated towards certain projects? By kind of,
My understanding is it has to be roads or sidewalks.
okay.
I didn't know, maybe you could, we've never used it for sidewalks, have we? Not since I've been here.
Mayor, do you know?
No, well, I'm looking right here. You can look in the website and find out we must receive a satisfactory assessment.
Because the application, I can't remember if it says road, paved, I can't remember.
Lonnie's
Lonnie's got the whole application.
Yeah, Lonnie has it, and his understanding is it can be used for sidewalks.
But you have to put down what you're gonna use it for.
Okay, and the reason I ask,
But it don't really matter, we've got SPOS money, and you can put this money on roads, we take
Yeah.
the SPOS money to put on,
I would put this
we'll
on.
have money.
and this may have come up before, if you don't mind me getting off topic for a moment, at the city park over here, where the county put their parking lot across the road, that's a very common walk. How would we go about putting a lit crosswalk there?
Ask John Fowle.
Come out a bridge or just
No,
crosswalk?
just,
John wants a tunnel.
well, you know, and I'm just,
Why I'm saying that, John almost got killed right there.
yeah. And, you know, they've got those where you press a button and there's little LEDs that flash orange, and that would at least give somebody press.
You would have to
the
have something like that.
button. And so, do you think that would be something we could look at in the near future? I would anticipate the city park to continue.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, it really would.
Years and years, and that's a safety hazard.
Because a lot of kids in them park, a lot of people when they're parking those ball fields, they'll park in there and they'll come across and like, I'm
That would be a
Johnny.
SPOS project.
Well, that's what I was
And I know
asking,
it's
could that be
35
used?
mile an hour, but then people
Oh,
do
it's,
about 60.
He'll tell you, truck 10 miles down the road, standing in the middle of the road, vest on, all that other crap. He missed me, what, about that far?
It wasn't even that close. I thought he got your hair.
But I don't know if that's been discussed or not, it's just been on my mind. And
No, but
people
that is a
may-
good idea, I agree.
Well, especially now that the BART's gonna see a lot more use, and it's gonna be good.
But how would we do that? I mean, I guess we'd have to look at location. Would we want that crosswalk to go directly over to that drive?
Well, the church, all they use is one of our stop sign, our pedestrian crossing. You build your pedestrian crossing, you put your sign there, and the flashing light's not a bad idea. I mean,
Well,
especially if you
because
put
they-
people's children at risk. But the church gets away with it, with a very busy street scares me.
Yeah.
People do,
And that road's just as bad.
probably, I think the church is probably worse.
And so would we have to partner, you were talking about sidewalk, and that's what brought this to my mind. On the other side of that road, I know it's the county property, would we want to put like I mean, how would we connect? Would we have to have a sidewalk to connect the crosswalk
They
to?
do have a sidewalk up near the hut, or the
Election.
election.
So
vote.
there is one on that side?
I think so.
Okay.
Could we look at that as a
There is.
possibility
Sure.
to put that up there?
Sorry to just really.
No, I think,
No, I mean,
All of
that's a
those
good
are
idea,
smart ones.
especially for
Because
this is,
with ball starts again, it would be busy, or, well, it's not been busy lately, but it will.
Ball was about to start kicking in. I mean,
and we've got bad sidewalks coming along that corner on 53, from Pioneer, so.
yes.
I'll come up with a plan.
I'll put traffic right there.
September 24th, city-county meeting concerning the Grandview water. I think we had a very good meeting. John, do you agree?
Yes, sir.
I think the most exciting thing was that Chris Pujo,
Peugeot.
I'm trying to make it hard, has agreed, and I followed up with him about it today. He's agreed to look at ways that we can take the 330,000 gallon a day permit that the county has at Grandview right now, and is probably 2 years away from being able to use, to get that water into Long Swamp Creek, increase our permit,
Yes.
and produce water.
Is there any water in the lake right now?
In
Yes.
Grandview? Oh, it's, yeah,
They're stopping at 2 12-inch pipes.
4.
4, I thought so too.
I was told 4.
They have had 4, but I saw 2 the other day, maybe. Yes.
Now,
But anyway, that's pretty exciting, that what that does is help the city get its water permit increase that we've been looking for, maybe even more than we're looking for right now. And it helps the city provide water to the county to replace water that they're purchasing from other places at a much higher cost.
what does that do long-term when that water's not released? Will that affect our permit at all?
Well, that's my contention is, it's a temporary, now this is full-time, 333,000 gallons a day is the county's permit. My concern is, and I don't mind voicing it to the camera because we had it in the meeting, I voiced my concern to Robert, the commissioner, that his negotiating with the Gordon County and Gilmer County, it has to be for perpetuity, or it's not worth the paper it's written on. Because water today and it raining is good, but water when it's not raining is the best. And so we got to have it during the most extreme drought conditions, no matter what. Otherwise, we're going to build all these houses you saw tonight. And one of these days in July of 2022, we'll have no water.
Yeah.
Not enough water. So that's what the EPD tries to regulate. They call it the 7Q10. Certain amount of water's got to go across that spillway no matter what we are
So
having.
that's what you're talking about, the 1.5 inches?
Yes.
Okay.
So you got to have it forever.
Is that what it was, 1.5 inches?
1.5 is approximately right.
Okay.
Real close.
So, I felt good about the meeting. We're gonna have more meetings.
But Robert didn't look too excited about going to ask for perpetuity, did he?
No,
He didn't. But I wouldn't take it unless I got it.
well, again, what I left there excited about was a
That we
chance of us-
talked, the conversation.
Well, a chance of us producing water to supply to the county. Replacing water that they're purchasing from other folks, and
But the
we are
county
residents.
fully intends to build that treatment plant up there that we tried to discuss, maybe not, but they're gonna build it.
That's understood.
And we're running the water line to them with what we planned on.
We will be, I guess Chris is working on that also.
Was David in the meeting?
Yes, David was in the meeting.
Because I knew he had some concerns,
Yeah.
so.
He showed, he spoke them in the meeting as well.
Good for him. Speak.
The other thing that'll be on the agenda is the PUD at Mountainside, Hughes Copeland, planned urban development. This will be the initial consideration come back with the details, much as like what we had earlier this evening on the Gateway project. With that, what other items?
City manager, what's the status on that for the public? People have been asking me and I don't have any answers.
The applications process ended on September 22nd, which was Saturday. Called Dan Lassiter with the Vincent Institute. Said, he told me that they were looking at 36 applications right now. He was out of town at the time, but he thought that 36 was the right number. And it would take them approximately 2 weeks to do the initial evaluation. So we should hear from them first week in October.
And you'll be receiving the list of the 36.
You will be receiving the full package from all 36 applicants.
Okay.
That's a wonderful number.
I was pleased with that, yes. Be interested to,
I'll be curious the range of applicants.
region, yeah, how far of a region we looking at?
And how many locals may apply as well, it's kind of
Right.
interesting.
Anything else you want to discuss? Nothing else you want to add to the agenda? We'll prepare an agenda tomorrow and carry on. See you Monday night.
That will be Keith Love's birthday.
Money on it?
Again, we have a meeting on Lovell's birthday.
Would it be possible to move him to the front?
Moving where?
To the front?
Love
Yep.
No. He would kill you. We're not be nice to Lowell.